Hello, everybody. Good to see you. Hope this thing is on. My name is Eric, also known as Speak Visually on Scratch. So excited to have you all here for our create along. Hopefully, this is working. You might be wondering, where is Zoey, who is normally the host of the create alongs? Sorry, you're stuck with me today. Zoey unfortunately lost her voice and is resting it. So I'm going to be walking y'all through this next hour where we're going to be working on our own video sensing projects with Scratch. And so if you're completely new and have never been to a create along, the idea is we're going to spend the next hour to work on a project. I'll be here answering your questions. And we're going to hopefully, there's a lot of tech in front of me right now. This is my first time kind of doing this. So there's a computer here, there's a computer back there. I actually have Zoey in the background. She's helping with the questions, giving feedback on how the tech's working. I got JC looking at the questions too. So shout out to both of them behind the scenes. So if you're new, welcome. And if you've already been here, thanks for coming back. And so I guess the idea is, what we want to start with is just talking a bit about how the create alongs are sort of a good opportunity for us now that we find ourselves sort of at home. I think this is a great opportunity for us to sort of come together and to connect and to share. And there's nothing better that I like to do in my downtime than create with Scratch. And today I'm going to be showing you some amazing things you can do with video sensing. And so to give a quick pitch, video sensing is essentially controlling your Scratch project without using your keyboard. We'll talk more about this. It sounds kind of fake, but trust me, it's real, and we'll do that. So what we want to do now is sort of talk about what the hour is going to look like. And so I'm going to pull up this super fancy graphic that we have that is the plan for today. I hope that worked. Also, everything is mirrored, so I have to point the opposite way to point at things. So we'll go ahead and walk through the schedule for today. So today we're going to gather. So we've totally done that. Happy to see it. I think there's 70 people all around the world. That's super awesome. And then we're going to look at last week's project. So last week at our create along, Zoey taught us how to make virtual pets. And so we'll check out all the amazing projects that were created then. And then what we're going to do is we're going to kind of just share the prompt, so to get people's sort of minds going on what they want to do with video sensing. And then we'll learn about Scratch and create a project. And then we'll answer questions live. And so I didn't mention this earlier, but there's a link right here where you can send in your questions. And so please keep them coming in, and I will answer them to the best of my ability. But I assure you, we will make some mistakes along the way, which is just a part of Scratch. So I can't promise that I can answer every single question. So I've been talking kind of fast because I'm super excited. So I'm going to slow down a little bit. While this is all happening, I would suggest maybe having two windows open. So maybe you have the YouTube video in one window, and then Scratch in another window, so you can kind of be following along. So if that all sounds good, I'm going to keep going. And we'll take a chance to look at some of the past projects. So I'm also going to try to do a pro move here. So I'm going to pull up the window, and then I'm going to switch to see if this works. Okay, so hopefully what you can see is the studio with all of our virtual pets from last week. And so I wanted to take a second just to cruise through all of these projects, check out their thumbnails. And so Zoey and a bunch of other folks created animal projects. And so we see there's a cat icon creator, we see rainbow exercise cat, Nyan cat, Terra pet, hedgehog house, Dreamy. I love this one, the Scratch create along. That's an amazing name for a pet. And so super excited to see this. We'll have a chance today too, when we're making our video sensing projects, to share those as well to the studio. You also might be wondering what this is in the corner of my screen. I'm actually using my cat tree as a laptop stand. So if you see my cat jump up here, that is because I'm currently using Gus's cat tree as a laptop stand. Anyways, so we can check out some of these projects. I want to pull up one. This is from Panda Girl. It's about my dog. Super cute. So let's go ahead and play it. See if you can hear it. So it looks like press space to make it say a word. So my dog's name is Uno. He loves me and he's cute. Super cute. I love that project. So let's check out another one. Looks like we have the Scratch create along. Love this name again. So it looks like we have, hi, my name is Scratch Dog. And then I think what we can do is we can interact and we can drink some water, eat some cheesy poofs. Quite amazing. And then let's check out one more. So my pet rock. Looks like this is a story. So I think the idea is the pet rock is now going to go play. Oh, geez, there's a question. So I want a small rock. Okay, so now the rock is going to, I guess, play ball. Looking good. Okay, drag me to the ball. This is a very complex project. I'm pretty amazed by this. This is so good. Okay, and then I think there's actually, I think we could play music. Okay, well, so you can play a little bit of music, and then also like me getting very sleepy and going to bed. Pretty amazing. So a huge shout out to everyone that was creating projects. Again, you'll have an opportunity at the end of this hour to be sharing your projects that you're making with video sensing. So I'll share more about that soon. So with all of that, I think we want to take a chance to talk now about the prompt. And so as I mentioned, video sensing is the way in which you can not use your keyboard, but rather your body to play with projects. So what does that even mean? Because it is kind of a weird concept. And you might have done something like this with like an Xbox Kinect, where again, like you're dancing or you're pressing things on the screen using your hands. So let's show what that looks like really quickly with Scratch. So I'm gonna try to, again, do my fancy scene switch here and pull up a project called Eat the Cheesy Poofs with a wind-up toy. So again, I'm in Scratch. You can see me moving in the background, and I'm gonna hit the green flag and we'll see what happens. So we see there are some cheesy poofs here. So let's see if I were to kind of eat them. Cool, so maybe you've never done that with Scratch. It's one of my favorite things to do in Scratch. Well, eat cheesy poofs and video sensing. So we'll get a chance to make our own project using this. And it actually turns out that video sensing is quite simple and very, very powerful. So it's, again, one of my favorite things to do in Scratch. So let's go ahead and before we sort of dive in to making our project, think a bit more about the theme. So this is going to be really important because we don't only want to sort of make well, I think making a random Scratch project is pretty great, but maybe it would be good to think about what kind of project you're interested in making. So let me go ahead and exit out of this and find my cursor. Cool. So with video sensing, it enables you to make games, you can make interactive pet, you can kind of do anything that you can sort of trigger with your hands or any movement or even an object. So if you could think for a second about what it is you can do now that you have this superpower. So to give you an idea, I turned my fridge into a basketball hoop. So I would throw a sock at the fridge and then it'd hit the basketball hoop. And then also I turned my bathtub into a kayak. And so these are some of the ideas that I had been thinking of. And so it'd be good to think about what it is you want to create with video sensing. So that said, before we even start with video sensing, maybe we should just get familiar with Scratch. And so what I'll do now is I'll pull up the Scratch editor. And so if you're not familiar with Scratch, what you're going to want to do is go to scratch.mit.edu. So I'll pull that up in my browser. Okay, so now I have Scratch up. And this is the Scratch online community you're seeing here. And this is where millions of projects have been shared. You can check them out here. But I think my favorite part of the Scratch community is this create button. So if you hit create, that pulls up what we call the Scratch editor. So the Scratch editor is kind of where the magic happens. This is where you're creating your project. And this window right here, I'm going to close this for now. This is the tutorials window. So this is where you have sort of resources to help you produce your project. So this is the editor. A few things that you want to know about the editor. This is what we call the stage. So you can kind of think of this, one way I think of it on the right here, the stage is, it's kind of like a stage in a theater, or maybe even like a movie theater screen. This is kind of where your project will play. Okay, so this is where the project is going to be playing. And then if we go with that metaphor, kind of like the cast of characters are down here, and we can control this character with coding blocks, and the coding blocks are over here in the palette. So again, think of it sort of Scratch Cat on stage, and then what do we want the Scratch Cat to do? And so what we can do is we can pull out some of these blocks to control Scratch Cat. So I'll go ahead and pull out the move 10 steps, and I'll zoom in so you can see it. So we have Scratch Cat, and I'm going to hit move 10 steps, and we'll see what happens. Okay, so Scratch Cat's kind of moving. Pretty cool, pretty cool. What if we had it move and then maybe say something? So we can have it play sound meow. So I'll connect those two. And all it's going to do is going to play in order. It's going to move 10 steps and then play sound meow. Pretty cool. Now you notice what I'm doing is I can use my cursor to preview and play the blocks, which is cool, but if we're making a computer program, we're going to want to trigger it with something. So we have these things called event blocks, which again are triggers to start your script. So we have plenty to choose from. So we see here we have when green flag clicked. This is a super common block. The green flag is kind of like if you start a race, it's what you start your project with. So let's try that one. Okay, pretty cool. But maybe even cooler is this block, when key pressed. So now instead of hitting the green flag, when I hit the space key, it will run my program. So this is a super simple program. It kind of shows you what Scratch is capable of. It's an event block followed by sort of a line of sort of commands and code blocks. And so that's like the very basic sort of functionality of the coding. And so you might be wondering, well, the Scratch Cat is cool, but what about a background? Well, we call these backdrops in Scratch. And if you want to add a background, you just go to the bottom right here. And then you click that to choose a backdrop. Then say we want Scratch Cat hanging out at like a basketball court. I'll go ahead and choose that. So now you're starting to sort of make your own story with this, right? And likewise, you can choose other characters too. So if I want Scratch Cat playing basketball with another character, I can go ahead, choose a sprite. Something like maybe hanging out with a bat. So the bat and the cat playing basketball. It rhymes, sounds nice. And you can also add code to the bat. So for instance, you see there's no code in the bat, but there's still the code that remains from the cat sprite. So I'll go ahead and code the bat when I hit the space key to say hello. So now when I hit space key, both characters are moving at once. So that's super cool. That's kind of like the quick intro to Scratch. Please do send questions if that didn't make sense. And I think that was kind of an important place for us to start, because with video sensing, we're gonna keep it very simple and really rely heavily on these event blocks. And so without further ado, let's go ahead and talk about video sensing. So when you're in the editor, I'm gonna go ahead and make a new project. So if you're in the editor, I want us all to quickly pull up the tutorial for video sensing. So if you look in the top left, you'll see a tutorials button. Okay, and that's going to load an array of amazing tutorials. I would totally recommend checking out some of these. But today we're going to look at video sensing. So we'll scroll down and we'll see video sensing here. So I'm going to go ahead and click that. Okay, so if you've never used a tutorial in Scratch, this is kind of the general sort of layout. It's going to start with a video that gives you inspiration. So let's go ahead and check that video out really quick.
You can use your webcam to interact with your Scratch projects, add a virtual animal, pop balloons, or anything else you can imagine.
So you can see here we have Zoey, who is joining us via the video, who is playing a musical instrument. We had Champika, who was petting the cat, and then we also had sort of saving these minifigs as they were falling. And so you can kind of get a glimpse of what is possible with video sensing. And if you were to click the green arrow, you'll then see the different steps that show you how it is you can make a video sensing project. Now, fortunately, you all have me today, so I can help sort of guide you through this tutorial, and we don't have to look at the steps, but I would highly encourage folks to check out the tutorials if you want. So I got some feedback here that I should hide the bit.ly and add the extension. Yeah, that's a really good point. So the first step that we want to do is to add the extension. And so video sensing is what we call an extension. And if you're not familiar with extensions, extensions can be software, so they could live on your computer, or they can be hardware, so they can be a robot or some kind of device that you plug into your computer. And so this video sensing is going to be a software extension because it's using our webcam. So I'm going to go ahead and make sure you can see the extensions button. So I'm going to try to grab my cursor. Don't know where it is. There it is. Oh. Okay, this is the most difficult part of this, is finding it. So, nope. Okay, you know what? We're gonna wing this right now. I'm going to try something. Oh, there we go. Okay. So to add the extension, step number 1 to a video sensing project. Check this out with me. So the extensions live in the bottom left of the screen. So we're gonna go ahead and click the bottom left, this button here, and we'll see all the different extensions. So you can see we have hardware extensions and software extensions. So let's go ahead and click video sensing. Okay, so we have just turned on video sensing, and we notice a couple of things happened. 2 things. 1, we now see ourselves in the stage, which is looking good. And 2, we see a number of new blocks to choose from. So let's go ahead and quickly talk about the different blocks, sort of introduce ourselves, get familiar with the blocks. So we can see here, video sensing, this is a hat block. So when video motion exceeds 10, this is one of my favorite blocks in Scratch, and we'll spend some time digging into this block in a second. But I also want to show the set video transparency. So this is an important block because, as you can see myself in the stage, but you notice it's kind of, there's a white haze that's going over my face right now. And that's because the transparency of the video on the stage is at 50%. And so if you're not familiar, transparency is like how see-through something is. So I would like you all to see me better. So I would like it to be less transparent. So if we were to say, let's make it 20, you can now see me a bit better. So maybe I'll go to 10, probably even better, and maybe 0. So now you can see me. There is 0% transparency. I'm coming in really clear. It's just kind of like a webcam. It's looking good. I want to show you what 100 looks like. Okay, so 100, you can't see anything, right? So let's go back to 0. Looking good. All right, so there's a couple other blocks here too that I want to check out. One is turning the video on. So video sensing, it's going to turn the video on automatically. And if that's not the case, make sure that you give permissions in your browser. You might have seen when you try to turn on video sensing something that appeared on your computer that said, do you allow or disallow access to your webcam? You want to make sure that you say allow, and if you do that, it should automatically appear. If for some reason during your project you want to turn off the video, you could use this block to turn off the video. So I'm going to leave it on. And then I think we'll pause and not sort of dig into this next block here. This is a variable that's going to store some of the values of video motion, but we'll talk about that a bit later. So let's dive into the magic of video sensing, and we're going to hang out for maybe 10-15 minutes just using one of these blocks. And that is, I think, the most powerful block in Scratch, and I'm super excited to share this with you. And this, I see a question, is what's the straightforward definition of video sensing in Scratch? Hopefully, it is hard to define, so I'm hoping this can sort of help you understand what video sensing is. So this block is saying when video motion exceeds 10. So one thing to think about is video motion is the amount of motion that's going to happen on the screen. And it's specifically looking for video motion underneath the sprite. So this is our sprite here. And it's on a scale of 0 to 100. And so 0 would be no movement behind the sprite, and 100 would be as much movement as we could possibly do. So using that simple concept, when video motion exceeds 10, which is just a light movement, something can happen. So I'll go ahead and try that. So how about we, I don't know, make the cat meow when we touch it. So I'll go ahead, grab a play sound meow until done. Okay, so if all goes according to plan, when we move, when we move our hand over the cat, with some amount of motion, a little bit amount of motion, hopefully the hat block will start the meow sound. So let's go ahead and try this. Okay, cool. So this is like a new, I keep saying superpower because this is like a superpower. So now you are controlling with your body actions that happen on the computer. And you notice that sometimes it'll trigger even though I'm not doing anything. And that's because it's somehow seeing some type of movement on the wall. It might be a shadow, it might be a change of the light. So what you might want to do is change the value to 30 so it's less sensitive. Let's try just for the heck of it to make it 80 and see if it even works. Okay, so 80 is like a lot. I'm getting an arm workout. That's good, but that's probably too high. So one thing to know is tweak this value, see what seems natural to you. So I would say 20 in this condition. 20 seems like natural enough. I'm not overdoing it, and it is, yeah. So I think 20 feels good. So, like I said, the one tip that I have above all else with video sensing is think about, the code can be simple. Think about what it is you're trying to make. So for instance, with just this 2 block stack, we have an awesome thing where the cat meows when we pet it. So maybe we can say, maybe we can try something else like, I don't know, maybe we have the cat change color. So one of my favorite blocks that we have in Scratch is the change color effect block. So that's in looks, and then change color effect. So now what's going to happen is when we pet the cat, it will play the sound meow and then change the color effect. Okay, cool. So here's one thing with Scratch is I think I would like it when I pet it to change color and then meow. So you'll notice the block stacks are kind of running in order. So what I'm going to do is I want to move up the block stack. So now when I pet it, it'll change color and then meow. Pretty cool. All right, let's try one other thing. So it's kind of cool that the cat is changing color and meowing, but let's have it move when we pet the cat. So if we go to the motion blocks up top, motion blocks are, see, it is triggering on nothing. Motion blocks, super powerful, and I use them in almost every single project. One of my favorite of the motion blocks is the glide to random position. So the glide to random position is going to do exactly what it says. It's going to take your character and have it glide to somewhere else on the screen. So let's go ahead and do that. So I will pull that in. I think I want it to change color, glide, and then meow. So let's see if it works. Okay, cool. Very nice. So you can see with just 3 blocks, seriously, just 3 blocks, we've already created this like pretty cool program with video sensing. I see there's a question of, can we add more extensions with the video sensing? You absolutely can. So let's do that really quickly. Okay. Let's try the voice extension, this text-to-speech extension. So I will find my mouse cursor, which is always missing. Okay, and then I'm going to add another extension, which is text-to-speech. Text-to-speech is another, it's like pretty simple to explain text-to-speech. Let me actually get rid of, I see you can see my video twice. So let's get rid of that. No need to see me twice. So text-to-speech, awesome extension. Super easy to explain too. You just grab the block that says speak, and then you say what it is you want to speak. So instead of the meow, maybe I'll do this meow.
Meow. Meow.
Okay, the meow doesn't sound totally like a cat, so maybe can set the voice to alto, which is I think a bit higher, or squeak. Let's try that.
Meow.
Well, pretty good.
Meow.
So as you can see,
Meow.
super chill,
Meow.
just having fun. Okay, cool.
Meow.
So I promised you that it doesn't take a lot of blocks. So here's an interesting that's happening. Normally when you make a Scratch project, you can hit the stop sign, and the stop sign kind of shuts everything down, which is good because sometimes if a project is going really crazy,
Yeah.
sorry, I should stop doing that. Project going really crazy, you hit the stop sign and everything just pauses and stops. With video sensing, this hat block is always going to trigger no matter what. I can hit
Yeah.
the stop sign so I'm blue in the face, but it's going to keep going. And that's because this
Yeah.
hat block overrides the green flag. So if you're ever like, oh my gosh, just too much going on, what you do is disconnect your scripts from the hat block. Nothing's going to happen. It doesn't know what to do. This event block has nothing hanging on underneath, so you'll be good. I run into that. That's one of the biggest issues I have with video sensing is it'll be in the background, like making a bunch of noise. So yeah, that is a pro tip right there. So, can you make an animation with video sensing? That is a good question. Thanks for asking it. And let's go ahead and do one now. So I wanted to show you this anyways. So let's go ahead. We're gonna make a new project. Don't worry. It's easy enough with video sensing to make something new really quickly. So again, you see me, I'm ghosted. I kind of don't like that ghosted look. So I'm gonna make sure that I'm setting my transparency to 0. Now you see me better. So let's make an animation. Let's make a drum. Let's make a drum that we can hit. Let's make an instrument, yeah? So Scratch Cat, I'm gonna have to say goodbye to you. So I'm gonna go ahead and remove Scratch Cat. So Scratch Cat's gone. I have no sprites. Let's go ahead and pick a drum sprite. So go ahead. So I did that really quickly. Again, I'm gonna add a new sprite. Going down here, click add. I am going to click the drum. I'm going to search for a drum, and notice that we have so many drums to choose from that it's kind of wild. Let's try the drum kit. Okay, so we're gonna keep it. This might look pretty similar to the cat animation that we did. So I want us to think about animation. So animation can mean a lot of things. It can mean growing and shrinking. It can mean tilting. It could mean changing costumes. And so I want to show you both. So when video motion exceeds 10, our superpower block, the best block in Scratch, when video motion exceeds 10, let's have it grow and shrink. Let's have that animation. So, okay. So let's go to the looks category. Looks category, purple category. It's gonna have your size in there. It's gonna have like that color effect block that we had earlier. So let's go ahead and look at the set size block. So set size to 100. This is currently 100. If we set size to say 200, let's see what it looks like. Boom. Okay. Cool. So how about when video motion exceeds 10? Let's set the size to 100. No, let's set it to 200. Okay. So when we hit that, it's going to go 200. And then let's have it wait 1 second and then shrink back down. So 200, wait 1 second. Let's have it wait 0.5 seconds. And then let's have it go back down. So again, it already triggered. Okay, cool. It's like, I feel like it needs a sound. And so what's cool about the drum sprites, any instrument sprite, is they have some cool sounds built in. So if we go to the sounds category here, we can drag out play low tom, which I think is the sound. So it's maybe 0.5 is too long. I think 0.5 is too long, probably. 0.5 is a little long. So maybe we do like 0.2. Okay.
Sorry, I can't do
Sorry,
that.
I accidentally hit Siri on my laptop. Okay, cool. And then one other thing. So I said, so maybe, geez, okay. A little sensitive. So let me disconnect the block. I also mentioned, so you can change the size. That is certainly one way to animate it. But I also want to show you this concept of costumes. So if you're not familiar, we see our character, our sprite here. There's this magical tab called costumes, wherein the drum set, in this case, has another sort of costume, another look to it. So you see it says drum kit and drum kit B. And so these are the two costumes it has. And so you can see as I toggle between these costumes, this is changing, yeah? So what if we could do this with like code and I don't have to continue to click this? That would be nice. Well, there is a way in Scratch. So what we'll do is we'll go to looks. There is the next costume block. So that will switch automatically to the next costume. So let's think where to add this into our script. So So we expand to 200%. We're playing the sound. Let's change the costume. Okay, expand, sound, costume change, weight, set size. Okay, cool. I mean, I don't know. Simple animation using, oh wow, there's so many questions. There's so many questions that I should get to, but hopefully that helps you sort of understand how it is you can, gosh, I really got to undo these blocks. How it is you can animate drums in Scratch. Can you use color sensing with video sensing? Yes, you absolutely can. I will get to that a bit later because that's a bit more complex. Can you make a platformer with video sensing? You know what? I'm glad you asked. You can make even like one better than a platformer. So here's let me show you. This is gonna sound kind of silly, but imagine you could actually play Mario, which sounds weird, but one thing to know about video sensing is what if you stood way back from the camera? What if you were way back here and you were running and you were grabbing things as they came? And so I could probably quickly show you what that might look like. But let me suggest to you that that is totally possible. That would probably take about 15 minutes to show you, but let me show you a somewhat similar idea that might get you inspired by this. And so let me create a game that kind of exists in that sort of platformer space. And so that is a game that we're gonna play where we're the character and we're really small and we're gonna be running from something. So I'm going to create a bug. I'm gonna create a bug. So no, I'll go with our friend the bat. So what if instead of a platformer, we did something where the bat is flying around trying to touch us? Which I don't know, yeah, not a bad thing. Maybe it's a good thing. Maybe we want to get touched by that bat. So anyways, I will set the size, because the bat's a little big, a little small now. Well, that's too big. So I'm gonna set the size of the bat to 50, I think. Okay, so we have our bat flying around. So what if the game was we have to avoid the bat? Yeah, not quite a platformer, but again, it's like I'm using my body, I'm like running. So, simple, let's have the bat fly around the screen. I can do this with 3 blocks. When green flag clicked, I told you my one of my favorite motion blocks. Glide to random position. So let's click that. So we see, okay, that's cool. When we hit the green flag, it's gonna glide, but we want that to continue to happen. So I'm gonna go ahead and wrap that in a forever loop. So the bat is always moving. Okay, so you can see I'm kind of trying to avoid it. Okay, cool. But it's not interactive, right? Like I could do that, it's kind of fun, it's kind of cool, but like what if we made it a game where like if it touches me, it says something or makes a sound. So we can do that with video sensing, and we'll do it with the same kind of sort of setup that we had earlier. So when video sensing exceeds 10, so when the bat is kind of hitting me because I'm in the way, it'll do something. So maybe we'll have it play a sound. Let's do a sound. Let's do a laugh. Yeah. So I'm gonna add a sound. Sorry, I'm doing that really quick. So the bat sprite has the owl sound, but the owl sound isn't kind of like what I'm going for. So I'm going to change the sound by going down here. Sorry, the URL's blocking this, but there's just the little speaker icon to choose a sound, and then I'll choose something weird. I don't know, the basketball sound. Why not? So when the bat touches me, it's going to play the basketball sound. Okay, so the game is to avoid the bat. Okay, so now it's triggering like crazy. So I'm going to change the sensitivity to 30 because it's triggering on something that I don't know what it's triggering on. And again, that's that idea of 10 might not be the best idea. So let's go ahead. Okay, it's triggering on a lot now, so let me try to go 60. Okay, so it's not perfect. I told you I was going to make mistakes. So what's happening is the bat is triggering on some type of motion that it's seeing on the background and not just me. So that is to say the video sensing is not perfect, but the kind of concept of what we're doing here, the logic does work. So let me try 90 and see if we can get it to work. And then if it doesn't, I'm gonna stop this demo. Yeah, it is so interesting. That is triggering on the background. So video sensing isn't perfect, and we should, guys, just as you're creating, build around knowing that it's not gonna be perfect. Cool. So how do you get your own sounds is a good question. Thanks for asking. So say we didn't want the basketball sound. What we can do is we can go to the sounds tab of the sprite and record our own sounds. So there's a couple ways to do this. Let me get rid of the thing on the bottom. Get rid of the bit.ly. Okay. So the question is, how can you get your own sounds? There's a number of different ways. So one way you can do it is you can record your own sound. So if you go down to the bottom left here, you can hit record, give permission to use your microphone, then go woo, and then you can save your sound. You can name it. So that's one way to do it. There's another way in which you can upload from your computer. So if you have a sound that you've saved on your computer already, you can go ahead and upload it this way. And then you can also choose from the library of sounds. The library is like super awesome. There's so many different sounds in there. Totally check that out. I'm kind of bummed that our little bat game didn't work. Let me try one more time at 95 to see if the 95 sensitivity is gonna do it for us. No, it's just so sensitive on that wall. Anyways, something to play with. So, how do you get your own sound? We did that one. What if, let me pull up some of these questions. Thank you so much for all these amazing questions. I'm just gonna try to, again, find my mouse cursor because it's always disappearing on me. What if you don't know where the blocks are because it's my first time using Scratch? Oh, that's a good question. So I think the question is, what if it's your first time using Scratch and you don't know where all the blocks are? I would suggest, if it's your first time using Scratch, maybe what I would do is I would check out in the tutorials window, I would check out the Getting Started with Scratch activity or the Imagine a World activity. So I just clicked Imagine a World. This particular tutorial introduces you to a lot of the introductory blocks in Scratch, or some of the more basic blocks in Scratch. And it's going to give you sort of a nice understanding of what is available. And so it's going to introduce you to looks blocks, to sound blocks, to event blocks, things like that. And to be honest, it might seem like there's a lot of blocks in Scratch, but I kind of typically hang out with just like maybe like 15 to 20 of them. I tend to use the motion blocks a lot. I'm always making my characters move and turn. I'm using the glide block, as I mentioned. I think the looks block, again, the say block is super powerful. Some of these more introductory blocks. And I say introductory, but I just mean that they're I don't know, pretty straightforward, and they're incredibly powerful. And then I also think the play sound and play sound until done blocks are super powerful, and I use them quite a lot. So I would say it's doing those two things. Okay. How do you make a Pong game using video sensing? That is a good question. So just like any game in Scratch can be converted to a video sensing game. So if you were to create a Pong game, I guess you could say when I touch, we can play Pong with the bat. So when I sort of touch the bat, have it glide across the screen. So let's try to make that script really quick. So when video motion exceeds 10, let's have it move 10 steps. So let's see what happens. Okay, cool. So not quite there. Let's try it again. Okay, so not quite Pong. So what we can do is, instead of having it move just 10 steps, we can have it move 10 steps in a loop. So that will make it move even more. So let's go ahead and put that in a loop. So 10 times. So now I'll take it out from the video sensing. When I click that, it will move. So let's do that. Yeah. Okay, so we see it's moving now 10 steps 10 times, so that's 100 pixels across the screen. Let's try something more like 30. So we can see now it's moving quite fast across the screen. So we can attach that now to our stack. Okay, pretty cool. I'm trying to think how it is we would do this in a way where it's like Pong, where it bounces back and forth. You know, I wish I had a co-host, because I have a feeling Zoey would know how to do this. That's a really good question. I'm trying to think. What I would suggest doing is checking out in the Scratch community. I'll pull this up right now. It's okay not to have the answers. I'm sorry. I do think a Pong game might take some time. So I'm going to model when I have an idea that I don't quite know how to solve now. What I do is the Pong game. And what I'll do is I'll pull up a Pong game, for instance, Starter Pong. And what I'll do is I'll play the project and go like, okay, cool, I see how this works. Okay, pretty cool. So what I'll do is I'll then say like, okay, let's see inside, let's see what the code looks like. So the code, it looks like the paddle has its own sprite. And we're setting the paddle to mouse X. And so then what I would do is I would probably add the video sensing extension. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. And then I would start to manipulate this project to say, okay, when I have video sensing on, trying to hit the ball and see what happens. So it looks like there is something here. The code says when the ball is touching the paddle, go in the random position, start sound. I don't know why today, I'm sorry, I can't know, I don't, it's not kind of, there's a way. You should do it. You know what, you should do it and then share it in the studio, and then next week, what I'm gonna do is, well, Zoey will do, because Zoey will be co-hosting, we're gonna show that project. We're gonna show video sensing Pong. Sorry, so that is my non-answer, which is check out other projects in the community and get the gear spinning on what it is you might do. What is the difference between play sound? Thanks for the question, by the way. What is the difference between play sound and play sound until done? That is a good question that haunts everyone as they get used to Scratch. So there's a very important difference between play sound and play sound done. So let's pull out both of those blocks really quick. So play sound until done. So let's go. Let's model this. So if we were to play the sound, you know what? I want to get a longer sound for this. I want to model it with a longer sound. And I'm also going to pull up the URL so y'all can ask more questions. Here. Sorry, friends. Jeez Louise. Okay. So I want to model this with a much longer sound so you can kind of get the understanding of what's going on. Here we go. Okay. So I will pull up. I'm going to choose what I know is a long sound. So in the bat sprite, I'm going to go to sounds. I'm going to pull up a sound from the library. That is a loop. Okay. So that is an 8-second song. It's very chill. So the play sound until done is going to play that sound until it is done. It's going to play the entire 8 seconds of that really chill, awesome, majestic sound. So it's going to play all 8 seconds. So if I were to put that into a loop, what happens? Okay, it's playing. We're 6 seconds in, we're 7 seconds in. So, okay, now it restarted. So it's going to play the 8 seconds in loop forever. Good for the background of your project. Do that. But let's try something else. So let's try now the play sound block, just the play sound block. Doesn't sound good. So what it's trying to do is, it's like hitting the play button like 100 times a second. And so it's not going to play all 80 seconds. It's going to just try to keep starting the sound, start sound, start sound. So you only get like the first millisecond of the sound. So never put start sounds into a forever loop. That's the number one thing. Well, yeah, you're going to get this. You're going to get this. So that's kind of like the one reason. But I also want to share something that is important. And I shouldn't say you should never use them in a forever loop. I'm going to show you why. Say you want your cat to be like moving as it's like playing the chill music. So we'll bring up our bat here. So we have our bat here. And if we want to have the bat be gliding around the screen as the music is playing, we'll want to do start sound. And I'll show you why. So start sound chill. And then we'll have the bat move. So again, this script is going to say start the sound, chill, play that 8 seconds, and while that's happening, glide. So we see the sound started is playing. It's good. Now the difference is if you wanted that effect but you use play sound until done, you have to wait 8 seconds, waiting, 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 and then it moves. So if you want the music to play underneath, start the sound, and then other things should happen in the script. Yeah, so that's the difference between play sound until done. I gotta tell you, the amount of times that I've done this is wild, so don't feel bad if you've done that. I do it all the time. You're awesome, thank you. I've slowed down how quickly I'm talking. When I started, I was really excited. I'm still really excited, but I was talking too quickly, so I'm sorry about that. Anyways, I wanted to show you one other cool thing with video sensing that involves the play sound, and I think play sound chill is the perfect example of what it is you can do with this. So remember, we just created some really cool background music. So we're like chilling, it's cool. So what if we made a dance party? And the idea is if you are moving, the song would play. And if you're not moving, the song doesn't play. So let's try that. So again, we have our background sprite. Sounds cool. It's chill. Okay, so how do we do this? I want to show you a block that we haven't talked about yet. And that's in the video sensing blocks. So I'm going back to video sensing. And it's this block right here. So let's just take 10 to 15 seconds to talk about this block. This is a variable. So this is going to have stored values in it. Stored values, yeah? From 0 to 100. And the values can change. So in this case, it's the motion on the sprite. So let's see quickly what that looks like. There's values in it. If we click the value, we can see the value pop up really quickly. So 9, 0, 2, 4. That's the amount of motion that's happening underneath the sprite. You can also detect the amount of motion on the stage. So the entire stage happening here. So as I move around the stage, we can see it's like 80, 90. Okay. So what if we did this? What if we said, set the volume of the sound to the amount of movement. So if there's a lot of movement on the stage, 100, it's going to be 100 volume. It's going to be really loud. And if there's no movement, we're not going to hear anything. Okay? So using this block, let's try that. So when I hit the green flag, forever be doing this. And what do we want it to be doing forever? We want it to be setting the volume. So there is a set volume block here, set volume. So forever be setting the volume to the amount of motion on the stage. Before we do this, I also want to create a really, really simple script that's going to show us the value of the variable. So I also want it to forever be showing us the value of the variable. And the way in which you show the value of the variable is to put it in a say block. So when I hit the green flag, forever say the value. So grab a say block. Forever say this value. And this value, again, is going to be hanging out between 0 and 100. So I'll grab that. And again, it's forever say the amount of motion on the backdrop. So let's see if it works. So again, sorry, that was a lot of things. And this is what I like to do when I'm scratching and I've just done a couple of things. I like to just digest and say, what did I just do? So we have, and you can even comment the code. I'll add a comment. This is for background music. Okay, that's our background music. That's forever play the sound chill. This is, I'm gonna add a comment. This is letting us know, the little say box up here on the thing, on the sprite. It's gonna say the value. So that's gonna be value. And then this is our set volume script, which is setting the volume to the amount of motion on the stage. So let's try it out. Okay. I don't know if it's coming through on the speakers that well, but it does work. So if I have like no movement on the screen, no one's here. It's, you know, it's weird. It's cool. I would suggest trying that. You can make your own little dance party. Get weird with it. So yeah, the amount of motion on the stage linked in with another block is super, super fun. So anyways, that was a long way to answer that question. What occasions are good for video sensing? I would say, huh, with video sensing, you can make stories, you can make games, you can make animations. I really do think anything that you feel like can be triggered. So if you're thinking about collecting coins, shooting a basketball, interacting with an object, those are all really great things for video sensing. But I do think what I showed like 10 minutes ago, where you just go in the Scratch community, look at our project and say like, hey, like how can I use video sensing? And I even show you, there's also something like super simple. Forget even about, let's just do the simplest code. Let's just do the simplest code to make like a filter, like a Snapchat filter. So I'll choose a new sprite and I'll do the hat. So here, we see the hat. Okay, pretty cool. Maybe we'll make it a little bit bigger. Make it 200. So like even just like that, there's no code here and it's super cool. But maybe we can do something even cooler. Maybe when we hit the space key, we can change the costume. So we noticed there's 4 different hats here. So we can make super simple script. When space key, switch to the next costume. Yeah. Just play with it. I mean, there's just too much here. It's good for everything. That's another non-answer. I'm sorry. I do want to be mindful of time. Thank you all so much for your questions. Looks like we have now about 8 minutes. And so I want to make sure that we have a chance to show you how it is you can save your project and then share your project into a studio. And I'm just going to double check with my handy dandy schedule to make sure that's what it is we're doing next. Okay, yeah, so now that we've made a project, I want to introduce this idea of like, well, what do you do with the project? So want to make sure that the project is saved somewhere. And so you can see here in the Scratch editor, we have to have no project. Let me just make a project really quick. Let's go back here. Let's go ahead and let's do our cat meowing project really quick. So again, that was super easy. Well, gotta add the cat, add the cat, add the cat. Okay, add the cat. Win video motion 10. Start sound meow. Okay. Whew. Make sure it works. Okay, back to square one. Okay, so I have a project that I feel, oh my god, the stop sign isn't gonna stop it. You have to disconnect the box. Anyways, so if you want to save it to your account, you'll need an account. So if you don't already have a Scratch account, you should make one. Scratch is awesome. It's free. Do it. So you hit the join button here. If you already have an account, you can go ahead and sign in. So I'm going to go ahead and sign into my account, Speak Vocally, which is a play off of Speak Visually, which is my other username. So you can see now I am logged in to my Scratch account, and I'm going to hit the giant share button. Maybe before I share, I want to name it. So pet the cat, pet the cat, pet the cat. Okay, and then I'm gonna hit that big old orange share button. Okay, and now what happens when I hit the share button? Okay, now I'm taken to this screen. This screen is where the project is now shared in the Scratch online community. It is now available to the millions of Scratchers out there. What you might want to do is give instructions for people. So like use, all caps, use your hands to pet the cat. Cool. And now you can, if you want to share it, like you're super excited and you just want to like blast it to all your friends and family, the URL to the project is up here. So you just copy paste this URL right here. You can send it to anyone. They'll be taken to this page. They can love it. They can favorite it. They can play with your virtual cat. It's super cool. And if you want, you can share your project into the studio that we have for today's Create Along, which I actually lost the tab for. So I'm going to try to reopen it, which is video sensing, which is, you know what? I didn't lose it. It was just in another, it was in another tab. So if you want to share your project into the studio, what you can do is you can, we'll have to log in, speak vocally. Okay, so the studio, by the way, the studio description is in the link below this video. So the studio description is in the link below, and so you can go ahead and do it that way. And then you just hit add project. When you hit add project, what you'll see is this button here to add, and then you go ahead and add it like that. And you successfully added your project to the studio. And so next week, what we'll do is we will check out all of the incredible projects that were created doing this video sensing. And in the meantime, I'm kind of out of stuff for us to talk about. I want to thank you for all the questions that you shared. Thanks for bearing with me as I was kind of getting my feet wet with all of this whole live streaming thing. I am so glad that next week Zoey is going to be taking over. Maybe I can go host another week, but it was a lot of fun. And I really do encourage folks, when you're making a video sensing project, to think about keeping it simple, thinking about that magical, I'm going to pull this up again, that super magical when video motion exceeds 10 block. That is just like the portal to so many cool things. Don't think about overcomplicating it. And if you want to, and if you're kind of struggling for inspiration, do check out the Scratch Online community. There's a lot of really great projects that you can easily remix by introducing video sensing. And so as you work on your project throughout the week, please do share it in the studio. Super excited to next week show it off. I'm definitely talking to you, the person who asked the question about making a video sensing Pong, because I can't wait to play it. So I hope you end up doing that. And I want to thank again Zoey, JC, Natalie, other folks from the Rock team who have been helping behind the scenes with the Create Along. And with that, I think I'm going to get my long overdue glass of water, say goodbye, and want to thank you all again for hanging out for the entire hour. I see there's 350 of you. So happy scratching, scratch on. I'm going to log off, might take a nap, kind of tired. I hope you take a nap. That was a lot of creating. Anyways, wishing everyone well. See you later. Also, I'm going to have to figure out how to stop the stream. So you're going to awkwardly be looking at me for the next 5 seconds as I try to find my mouse cursor. Okay, I found the end stream button. So I'm going to end the stream. See y'all later.